After the success of their previous isometric adventure, The Great Escape, Denton Designs were keen on having the success repeated, so they started making a spiritual sequel for the prison game. This time, however, the map would be so large the game would have to be fitted into a larger amount of memory at once, utilising the 128K Spectrum's abilities for the first time in such a way as to set a proper standard for the machine. Now, the game was originally titled Tibet. That is where the game apparently takes place, but in a prehistoric version of it, as you will notice from the pterodactyls and all that sort of things going around. And this game is, as Denton's preceding hit game was, an isometric 3D adventure with action and puzzle elements. And Denton's game, well, it was released by Ocean in 1988 for the Sinclair Spectrum 128K, the MS-DOS and the Atari ST. And although my video covers these three games, it's also worth mentioning the game was also ported by fans to the Amiga in July 2014 and also on the Amiga CD32 in December 2014. There was also apparently a Commodore 64 version that was considered, but it never started. So we're going to start by looking at the Spectrum version first. And what's the plot of this game? Well, a plane has crashed in the remote and unknown plateau of the Himalayas. And to their horrors, the survivors soon discover that it is populated by dangerous prehistoric creatures and tribes. And the player must guide the party of 4 survivors, the pilot, Jarrett and his 3 passengers, all to safety, avoiding dinosaurs, cannibals and natural dangers, while also ensuring that they are sufficiently rested and fed during the long and difficult journey. What makes this game so highly praised is most likely the need to interact between all the 4 survivors, which can be quite a challenge. All the grandeur and strangeness of the setting are only there to enhance the experience, but the personalities of the 4 survivors is what makes this game really tick. In the game, the player initially controls Jarrett, the leader of the party. The other survivors are Clive, a wealthy businessman, Gloria, his daughter, and Dirk, her fiancé. Each member of the party may be controlled by the player or by the game, and they have all 3 different personalities and abilities. For example, Clive is overweight, tires easily, and is always hungry. While Dirk, well, he is athletic and has some knowledge of the local languages. However, he is reluctant to leave Gloria and will become a little bit useless if she dies. There is a simple menu and cursor system which is used to select members and manipulate objects. Computer control characters will complain if they are injured, tired or hungry. Therefore, it's up to the player to decide what action to take in response. Indulge them too often and food and time will run short. Ignore them and they will abandon you and try to make their own way to safety. And there's also useful objects which are scattered about the map which should be carefully explored. Now, what I would say that this game does require, as many of its kind do, is patience. Learning to control the characters and use the menus can be tedious and frankly impossible if you have no instruction manual at hand. It can be found from the World of Spectrum archives the most easily, so if you want to have a go at this game and you never have done so before, be sure to have the manual by your side. Now, with regards to the playability, some isometric games have the joystick controls done so that pushing up goes right, down goes left, left goes up left, and right goes down right. And some games, well, they've turned it 90 degrees to the left. This time, Denton have gone for the latter option. This, of course, these are those games that need to be controlled as if you were the character. Up would go forward, down backwards, and left and right would make the character turn clockwise or anti-clockwise. But never mind that. I suppose I'm just trying to make the point that every game of this genre seems to require you to learn the game all over again, which is disorientating since most of the isometric games look basically the same. Anyway, options are provided at the beginning of the game where you can redefine the keys, but the spacebar, it cannot be used because its function is to call up the menus. The joystick is certainly a better option where the button shoots and makes your character run. Now, I will say the menu system is a unique one for this type of game. There are 2 in-game menus which you must use on a regular basis in order to get anywhere in the game. The first one, which is Cyan, has options for pause, music or sound effects, and a new game option along with top row displaying all the characters in the play. If your primary character dies, only then you are allowed to change your controllable character, and for that time the primary menu turns to Magneta. And the second menu is the inventory menu, which is red, and it can be called from the first menu by clicking on one of the 4 player characters. The 4 slots at the top show the items you are carrying, and the bottom row shows you the items in the near vicinity, which you can pick up by clicking on them and dragging the object to the character's face. I certainly found that a bit confusing at first, when in other games, or most other games, you walk over the items and they are collected automatically. Of course, for this game, such a system had to be done so the computer controlled characters would not pick up everything they walk over. I mean, each person can carry 4 items unless they carry a bag, which can contain another 4 additional items within. The use item icon is kind of self-explanatory after all the things, don't you think? Well, not really. I mean, in order to say consume food and drink, you need to first click on the use item icon and only then on the item you're about to use, and finally on the character's face you're about to use it on, provided that he or she has the item at hand. If not, you need to drop the item first and pick it up again with the character that needs to use it. But don't worry, because you do get used to the system after a while, although it never ceases to be a bit tedious, particularly as the world outside the menu still continue to proceed while you're at it. That's right, the game doesn't pause. Now, in the game, you will be faced with surprising dangers such as dinosaurs and cannibals, but the most bothersome problems must be the breaking bridges, rolling boulders, swamps and whatnots that can be lethal in unguarded moments. Also, in tight passages, having more than one character in the group can sometimes become more of an obstacle than a bunch of useful item carriers. However, getting the perfect score means leading every one of your group out of the plateau safely to freedom. So, in order to win the game, you need to keep a good rhythm, lead the group like a champion, ration the consumables with skill, kill some prehistoric beasts and rest when you are able to. As with most of these types of games, using a map is highly recommended, although drawing yourself one could be considered a big part of the whole experience, unless you're useless at drawing, of course. In that case, head over to the world of Spectrum, pick up a pre-compiled map. I would just do that. Right, before we go on to the Atari ST, let's have a little bit more of a look at this Spectrum game. Right, so here we are, we're on the Atari ST version. Now, the Atari ST version looks the best of the 3. This version has everything clear with more colours and the brilliantly stylised grayscale look, making it look like the 50s sci-fi film that it's supposed to be. I would say that the only thing I did like better on the Spectrum version are the in-game menus, which have different colours, while on the Atari, well, they're all yellow. But both the Atari and Spectrum versions, well, they're all in that monochrome graphic look. And on the Atari ST and the Spectrum, you also get the choice of music or sound effects, although the Spectrum version plays both at the same time by default, and on the ST, you only get one or the other. So I do feel, although the Atari ST is a good game, I do feel that the Spectrum slightly has the edge over it. But anyway, let's have a look at the game. Okie dokie, so here we are, we're on the MS-DOS version. Although the MS-DOS version has more colours used in the action screen, it still has less colours in use than the Spectrum version, 4 against 9. The colours in the Spectrum version have been utilised for the HUD, which looks very nice and makes the DOS version look rather perversely more monochrome than the Spectrum version. And the final blow on the DOS version is given when the day turns into night and nothing on the screen happens. This can certainly be rather irritating because you might not notice it until it's too late and you can't sleep during daytime. Now, in defence of the DOS version, it is slightly harder to tell terrain objects apart from each other sometimes on that Spectrum version, precisely because of the monochrome graphics. At least you can see all the borders more clearly in the DOS version, and the quad-coloured action screen gives more detailed information on objects and shapes. But still overall, the Spectrum version is more pleasing to the eye, and certainly more in line with the 50s black and white styled theme of the game. And with regards to the sounds, the DOS version has only a couple of sound effects and no music whatsoever, which is strange because all the versions of the game include a sound toggle option in the first in-game menu. The sound effects are simply middle-of-the-road beep for doing things in the menus and even simpler, almost unhearable tick for shooting things. So again, I suppose I'm favouring the Spectrum version of the game over these other two games. But anyway, let's have a look at the MS-DOS version, eh? Now, when the game was released, it did receive rave reviews from the Spectrum press anyway. Crash gave it 94%, Sinclair User 96%, and Your Sinclair a 9 out of 10. So, that's a good start, isn't it, for the Spectrum? Now, the reviewers for the DOS and Atari versions, however, weren't quite so enchanted, meditating somewhere in the 7 to 75 out of 100 area. But anyway, regardless of that, what do I think? Well, for starts, having now played Where Time Stood Still for a good while, I still haven't really changed my mind concerning isometric adventures. The main problem with this game is the incredibly irritating so-called artificial intelligence of your companions, whose main job seems to be getting into your way or getting stuck behind some walls or accidentally falling off ledges. Also, unfortunately, you need the extra inventory space occasionally, so you will be needing at least one companion throughout the game, as far as I know. Still, it is an interesting concept, and the game is a lot easier to follow than the maps and tricks of any isometric game by Ultimate. Now, the 128K Spectrum original truly is a spectacular achievement, and one of the most important games for the upgraded machine for a reason. The ST version is very good as well, just not quite as impressive as I would have hoped, other than graphically. Now, the MS-DOS version isn't quite as bad as it looks, but apart from having the worst presentation, I would say it's the most easily accessible of the three. So, if I was going to vote from 1 to 3, I would give number 3 to the MS-DOS, number 2 to the Atari ST, and I would give number 1 to that ZX Spectrum 128K. Good job! Okay, so there you go, that was my retrospective review of Where Time Stood Still on the ZX Spectrum, the MS-DOS and the Atari ST. And I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you very much for watching, it's much appreciated. Now, please remember to like my video, share a comment and better still subscribe. Until my next video, I'll see you all soon, bye bye.